I should have done this a long time ago. Hey, welcome back to Texas Off-Road. I'm really excited today about this video. I finally got the suspension redone on the YZ250X, and I'm really excited to try it out. This is something that I've thought about doing for a long time, and I finally decided to pull the trigger on it and get it redone. I've never had my suspension redone on a bike before. This is the first bike that I've had suspension set up, revalved, resprung for my weight and my skill level. So this is a whole new journey for me. So today it's kind of a first ride with the new suspension, and I'm very excited to see how it feels. Okay, here we go. I'm excited. I'm kind of nervous because I hope it's good. But okay. Oh wow. It is it is so much better. It is so much smoother. Wow. Just this little bit. Wow. I should have done this a long time ago. Wow, it is so smooth. Oh. And I haven't been riding. This is my first ride right here. This is it. Wow, it is just so much smoother. What a difference. The bike feels more planted. Like before, it was so harsh in my hands. Like I could feel just every little thing in my hands. And now it's so plush. Definitely gonna make this bike a lot more fun to ride. Like all that right there, it's kind of rough right there. Wow, I can just feel the difference is insane. This is pretty rough in here. There's a lot of spots where there's a bunch of dips and just unlevel terrain where you're cruising along at a good speed, and before, when it was stiff, it just wear you out. Wow. Oh, it's so fun. I always knew that I needed to do this. And I think I was just afraid. I didn't know what to expect because I'd never had my suspension redone before. Oh, this is pretty rough in here. And it's just soaking it up. Oh. All that right there. Oh yeah. Way better. Did a little track work over here. This was all really rough. I think we're good, maybe. Oh, the rocks. Wow. So much better. Not as harsh. Usually there's a pretty good bump that I just hit right there. And every time I would hit it before, it would kick the back end up. That was not the case just then. It was like that bump wasn't even there. Wow, it's just so much better. I'm speechless. I know I've said wow probably like 40 times. haven't made a lap yet, so I'm just kind of cruising a little bit to get warmed up and get a feel for everything. Some of this down in here, yeah, that's a lot smoother. That was a spot where all this right here was kind of rough with the stock suspension. See how this little, I didn't hit it as hard as I normally sometimes do. A little bit of a rocky hill. Oh, that's so much better. Before it was really harsh on the hands. So this spot was always really rough right here. Yeah, it just soaks it up. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I've never had a bike resprung for my weight, had the suspension set up. But I can say that it made a big difference for this one. This back here is pretty rough. These lines right here, there's a bunch of humps and stuff. And it just soaks it all up. I was always scared of this little straightaway on this bike, and that time it just felt more planted. Go through the tight trees here. This bike's always been so much fun to ride with the motor characteristics, and It's just hard to beat a good old carbureted YZ250. And it just, every time I rode it, it just wore me out because the suspension was so stiff. Not no more. And like hitting these, it feels more predictable. I'm speechless. It is so fun, so much better. Okay, wow. I am just kind of amazed at how much of a difference this made, getting the suspension redone. I wish I would have done this a long time ago. And I think I even said at one point during the ride that I always knew with this bike that it was what I needed to do. I needed to get the suspension redone. And as I've said, you know, this is the first bike I've ever had my suspension resprung for me, for my weight and my skill level and all that, the type of riding I do. And you know, when I ride my KTMs, I don't think that they need it. This bike needed it. And I think this is closer now to what my KTMs are for me. The softness and the way the suspension feels on those bikes. So when I first got the YZ, I bought it from a good friend, and it had 5 hours on it. And you know, I started riding it, and the first thing I noticed was the rider triangle. I was having problems, you know, with my feet, and it felt like my knees were really close to my chin, and you know, so I got Carapax foot pegs, and that helped the geometry for me and made the bike a little bit more comfortable. And then after that, I started noticing, like, you know, the suspension and how much more harsh everything was. And I think it took me a long time to kind of learn that and kind of figure that out maybe. But I'm really glad that I did this. It is so much softer and more compliant. It feels like it just soaks up more chatter. The bike feels more stable and planted, and like these terraces out here, they're not that big, but you know, when you're going pretty fast, it's an obstacle. You know, you kind of want to blip the throttle coming over them to keep the front end up, or vice versa when you're going down in the other direction. But it just seems like it just floats over those. Whereas before, it felt like I would get really beat up, and by the time I got through this section of the loop, I would be huffing and puffing, and I'd be tired, I'd be wore out. But today, and this is the first day that I've gotten to ride in a week or so, so usually my first day on the bike coming off of a work week is kind of rough and hard for me to get back into the groove. And that just tells me I need to be riding more. But anyway, it's a struggle, you know, work, life, there's never enough time. But anyway, I'm really happy that I did this. I had Altus Motorsports in Altus, Oklahoma take care of me, and they did a fantastic job. So big shout out to Altus Motorsports in Altus, Oklahoma. And I'm just amazed. I'm having trouble finding the words. But anyway, it made the bike so much better. It was already fun to ride. You know, I love the YZ. You know, I love the clutch, and you know, the cable clutch, and the old carbureted 252 stroke hit. You know, that's what I loved about that bike, and it always bothered me because it was so stiff. The suspension was just so harsh, and it would just make me, I'd be sore after I rode it, and my hands would hurt. and now I think all that's gonna be gone. So I'm really happy. So I'll try to get some more videos on it, and thank you for watching. And if you guys got any suggestions, you know, if there's anything you want to see, you know, certain types of videos or something, comment down below, and I'm open to some ideas. And thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.